Today I'm making cookie bars. They are made with the Betty Crocker sugar cookie. I use this sort of just as a flour, and then they are going to be a protein cookie bar for sure. I love these for pre-workout, easy to grab. Paul and I start working out generally about 5 a.m. so we're up about 4:45, and this definitely helps you just kind of really quickly grab and go. They're very condensed and easy to eat, very sweet, so it's kind of like eating something that you're not really supposed to, but it's awesome. And the macros on it are really super good. I'm trying to see if I can find them. They're 167 calories per piece. It makes about 16, and 4 grams of fat, 16 grams of carbs, and 11 grams of protein. Today, let's see, we are going to actually do the white morsels or white chocolate chips, half white chocolate chips, along with half of the butterscotch morsels as well. I personally absolutely prefer the Devotion protein. It's the Angel Food Cake. It is kind of a vanilla-ish. It's really a fantastic baking protein powder, which is why I like it. It's very finely milled. It has a kind of a sweet flavor that is really super easy to incorporate into anything. You can tell it's like super white powder. Very nice. The substitutes that we're gonna do for it, because the recipe is actually online for Betty Crocker. I think I found it. Actually, it was Kayla who's behind us. One of our girlfriends got it. Got it during after our competition, and it was a full fat version, which was fucking bomb. Was really, really good, and I just wanted to make a more macro friendly version of it, and so that's kind of how it started. But I did end up using this sugar cookie premix to start with, because I thought it would be a really good idea to incorporate some of the actual flavor that it has, because it is really, really fantastic. The substitutes that I'm making today, it calls for a couple of eggs, so I'll be using egg whites instead. And for the butter that it calls for, I'm going to be using Phage Greek yogurt, the 0%. You can actually make it with the 2% as well, but both the not chocolate chips, but the butterscotch and the white chocolate chips have fat in them already, and for pre-workout, my preference is to have it be less than 10 grams of fat, and I believe, like I said, it's like 4 grams of fat total for this, so I do prefer the 0% better. And this makes them very, very moist, so instead of butter, which is really awesome. So I am going to start by weighing this out. I'm going to use, which is basically 3/4 of this package. It's 496 grams. I'm going to use I'm going to do 300 grams of this. And then I am going to, it called for 496. I am going to go ahead and go to 496, but I am going to use, again, the Devotion protein powder. Got 497, close enough. So I am going to do 2 servings. The serving size on here is 3 tablespoons, and that is an egg, comparable to a whole egg. So I'm going to double that and do 92 grams. or 92 milliliters didn't really matter. And then, like I said, the yogurt is what makes it really super moist, which I love. And I'm going to do 170 grams of this. Close enough. And I'm just gonna start stirring it, see where it's at. But I do add water. But unlike melted butter, definitely working with yogurt, you do need to work into it a little bit more. As you can see, it's like super simple, not a lot of ingredients. Most of the prepackaged already has what's needed as far as flavoring. I don't add any additional baking powder to this. I have tried it with and without it, and it really doesn't make that much more of a difference at all, because it does have already baking powder in the pre-made package of the Duncan Hines, or the Betty Crocker, sorry, sugar cookie mix. So you can see it's sort of, it looks kind of like biscuits at this point. So it's a little too grainy. So I'm just going to add butter. And if you need to measure this, it's about, start with 3 tablespoons of it and then just add a little bit slower. I've done this weekly at this point, and so I kind of have a feeling of, you know, what it should look like, so I'm just going to do it without measuring it. You can see the texture is starting to change now that I've added the water. It does help to melt even the sour cream a little bit. What are you turning the oven on to? 350?
I was going to do
So the oven should be turned on to 350, which I always forget to do ahead of time, but I haven't. It's pretty quick.
Sous chef.
On
Usually
it.
behind the
You are
scenes.
on it.
Behind the scenes.
Look at that. Not very much. And then I will add the chocolate chips. Or the chocolate chips, the vanilla butterscotch. But this is pretty much the texture that you're looking for. I had already started pre-measuring, but that's 170. That's 70 grams. I'm gonna just do butterscotch and vanilla. I'm gonna do another 70.
Looks so delicious.
It will be awesome. That's done. For the pan, I personally like using parchment paper just to make sure that nothing sticks. Because when I take out that cookie bar, I want all of it. I don't want anything left in the pan. So I usually spray my pan a little bit. Go ahead and stick this in there. And then I do spray the sides and a little bit of the paper. It doesn't really need very much, and then just the other side. As our guest, I'll let you take care of the rest of it.
I think this is my job. Oh my god, it is so good.
Pat this down. You definitely want to make sure that it's even on the sides and not too high in the middle, because that's where it will raise. And because I want them to be pretty equal so that, you know, my macros stay pretty consistent. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to make sure that the middle part is not the highest part, so it doesn't become the largest piece as we're eating it and stuff. So, anyway, so that's that. And then it just goes in the oven. It goes in the oven, and it depends on your oven. So you'll want to start checking it at 20 minutes out. For my oven, it's about 25 minutes. Now Kayla prefers hers soft in the middle. So it depends. If you like more like a cookie batter sort of taste, then, you know, definitely you can undercook it a little bit. So if you take it out like 18-20 minutes, then you'll have more of that really super moist, gooey texture to it.
I think another thing too is I didn't have Angel Devotion when I made this, and it bakes way better as well. So like the protein that I had at home and baked with, if I were to bake for 20 minutes, it would have like come out like a rock. So if you're not using
It's Devotion.
Devotion,
Angel food cake.
then I don't know, you have to know your protein to figure out how that bakes as well, because I think that would make a difference in the baking time.
So there's some really good baking or protein powders that are really good for baking. What you're generally looking for is a protein that is not hydrolyzed. The hydrolyzed ones are pre-processed, so they are not very good for baking. You're looking for something that has some casein to it, or protein that says that it is sort of slow acting or something like that. Really great brands that I have baked with, and I know that they are very good at baking, are my number one is the Devotion brand. They are phenomenal, like for baking, just hands down, like top one. And then shortly after that, definitely P Science is definitely a great baking one. A lot of people, you know, use that for making pancakes and waffles and things like that. So it's kind of, you know, in the industry and stuff, everybody kind of knows about that. Quest is another really great brand. It's a little bit easier to find because both the Devotion brand and P Science, you do have to go to their website in order to order it and then wait for it to come. But Quest you can find at like Vitamin Shop. It works pretty well. That would probably be number 3. MTS is another one that's actually very good for baking. It's very good tasting as well. I personally have some digestion issues with whey protein, and so MTS really does give me a stomach ache. Actually, so does P Science a little bit. And that is one of the reasons why. The other reason why I like Devotion is that it does have some pre-digestives already in it, and so it helps me to digest really easily and digest really well. So besides the fact that it bakes amazing, the pre-digestives also help if you have any whey protein issues like I do originally. So anyway, going into the oven. And then knowing my oven, I probably will rotate it in about 15 minutes just to make sure that it evenly browns and bakes. And I like to cook it for 25 minutes because I like mine more of a cake style.
See the little piece.
All right. Then the other thing I do is I go ahead and prepare the topping for it, and I just use the fat-free cream cheese. There are some light cream cheeses that you can use as well, and you just have to adjust your macros. The fat-free cream cheese, believe it or not, I have had a really tough time finding fat-free cream cheese. Kroger is the brand that I'm using for this. It's the only brand that is available. I looked in Safeway, and since they don't carry Kroger, I couldn't find it at all. I just found the light. It does make a difference to your fat-free macros or your fat macros, so just keep that in mind. And then with this, I mix 20 grams of the Devotion protein into this, along with about half a teaspoon of vanilla powder, and then you can use stevia to continue and sweeten it if you want it a little bit sweeter, which I do. I prefer my cream cheese to be a little bit sweeter. So those are actually really great. Alright, and here it is. You can see like how gorgeous those butterscotch chips look. Goodness, my goodness. So at this point, you just want to let it cool 20-30 minutes, and then put the frosting on it, and then it's super ready to go. The other item that I do is I do leave it on the counter for a day. I mean, I don't have any issues with cream cheese, and I haven't had any issues, like I said, I've been making this for 5 weeks or something like that. And so I do leave it on a counter, no issues. And then eventually I do stick it in the refrigerator, or if you feel uncomfortable at all because cream cheese is outside, then just stick it in the refrigerator, pop it in the microwave, and then just, heat it for like 10 seconds, and then it's ready to go for pre-workout or post-workout, however you like it, or a snack.